So welcome to Winedirect TV. Today we're really honoured to have one of South Africa's pioneering winemakers here with us at Winedirect. Ken Forrester started out in hotel management, and then in 1993 he took the decision to plant a vineyard in Stellenbosch. He's now making 85,000 cases of wine, and he's known around the world as Mr. Chenin Blanc, which is quite a cool title. And so there's a few reasons for that. One of them being that Ken realised that Chenin Blanc, as a grape variety, isn't so much connected with South Africa, and people weren't looking towards making wines from Chenin Blanc, but Ken kind of saw the potential in the grape, and he created a wine that is nothing like any other Chenin Blanc made in South Africa. So Ken, could you just explain a little bit about that?
Sure, I think we'll pour you some and get you some idea of the tastes as well. I saw Chenin Blanc to be an absolute ideal opportunity for South Africa, in as much as in the Loire Valley, where Chenin, we all know, sort of originated way back with the Cistercian monks in the 10th century. But Chenin works there, and the best vintages are invariably the vintages where they have sunshine. So sunshine is an absolute requirement. And in fact, I think it was Pasteur who said wine is liquid sunshine in a glass, or something like that. And Chenin Blanc requires cool sunshine. So in the Loire Valley, the cool is a guarantee. The sunshine is whimsical. You might get it, you might not. And in South Africa, sunshine is a guarantee. And then the cool is a question of where your vineyard is planted. So where we're planted right near the ocean, right on the Atlantic, we have an opportunity to get cool ocean breezes. So we can almost guarantee our climate and have ideal conditions for Chenin Blanc. And utilizing those ideal conditions, plus old vineyards, careful viticulture, almost precision right down to manicured viticulture. We farm organically. We've been organic since 2002. And for us then, it was just a kind of process of understanding the vineyard and harvesting in separate small parcels where we could absolutely select one little parcel of fruit, make it up separately, have a batch of wine that was totally unique, then do that again with another batch. And almost, I mean, this wine finally is truly a blend of Chenin Blanc out of one vineyard, harvested 5 separate times, made into 5 separate wines, and then only after about 10 months in barrel do we sit down and we taste the different barrels, taste the different batches, and decide what harmonizes what we can put together. And it's not as though we can just put the 5 batches together, mix and stir. I wish it was that easy. No. So we're looking for complexity, we're looking for richness, we're looking for balance.
Balance, okay.
More importantly, we're looking for balance. We need to have sufficient acidity and backbone to structure the wine so that the richness has something to you've got the spine, you want to put shoulders on it, you've got to have enough spine. You put the hips on it, it's got to all balance. You need to build this wine out. So on the nose, we're looking for, I think, very typical Chenin scent. There's some pear, some apple. The wine is immediately rich on the nose, and you're almost fooled into thinking this might be sweet. There's a kind of almost a vanilla custard kind of sensation.
And you gave a really amazing description of the wine on the palate, and you talked me through the different stages. So how do you explain that again?
Yeah, I think on the palate, initially you're getting a very gentle, almost coconut milk sensation that gives way to almond, marzipan. There's a real nutty, and then from the nuts you start getting the fruit, and the fruits vary from dried apricot. You get this dried apricot sensation, some apple, baked apple, and then you're left with a citrus that's almost like a rosé or a ruby grapefruit. That little zing, that almost tease at the end of your palate. That, is it sweet? Is it sour? There's just that little tease at the end of the palate. And the wine finishes absolutely clean and dry. The acidity holds it all together and leaves you almost salivating. There's almost a kind of, I'd like to have another sip of that. There's that sort of, and it's great wine for shellfish. for
Yeah.
seafood, for shrimp, barbecued
Yeah.
prawns with a little bit of hot sauce, because of course the best wine for curries, for chili, for Asian food with spice is Chenin Blanc.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Or you could just drink it on a day like today, just sitting here.
You could just drink it on a day like
So
today.
it's perfect
Yeah,
for
sitting
that
here,
too.
what a wonderful idea.
I think the thing that strikes me about this wine is the point you made before, that when on the nose it's almost like it's going to be sweet, and then it really isn't like a Chenin Blanc I've had before, and then when you get into the palate it is so unbelievably rich, but then the finish is dry, so it's a real kind of like journey, a taste journey, which
Completely.
is
I have a
cool.
number of people, and I'm not sure if it's a compliment, I suppose it really is, but I have a number of people saying to me when they get this wine blind, they go, oh, white Burgundy. They're kind of,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
And I would think that it's quite different, but I think that there are a lot of issues here that remind you of white Burgundy.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that Burgundy obviously is Chardonnay, and it's always lime for
Yeah.
me. Chardonnay has a lime. There's no lime here. It's more fruity, and there's
The
that
baked
dried
fruits.
apricot, the
Yeah.
apple, but there is a citrus.
Yeah,
in that,
zingy.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So the range, we have all of the range, all of your range at Winedirect, and you just explained to me how that's the kind of how it began. Like you started out with making the kind of iconic grapes in South Africa, and then went on to do the next level. And
Sure. This, in fairness, is a very special product and very limited. It's from one single vineyard, and it's the if you like, the tip of what we do. This is the geeky stuff that we
Yeah.
kind of really get fiddly with. We make Chenin Blanc. We do a barrel fermented Chenin Blanc, also from estate vineyards, our Chenin Blanc Reserve, and really at I think a great value sort of price. It's a super wine to be able to have every day.
yeah,
You know, it's a nice, easy drinking wine. It's barrel fermented. It's rich, and that's our Chenin Blanc Reserve. And then we do a unwooded Chenin, which we call our little Chenin, our petit Chenin.
Yeah.
And the idea with the unwooded Chenin, the petit Chenin, is to be able to have that sort of summertime, sit out on the deck, sit out as you get home from work and you're not thinking, and you need to get supper ready, and you can go to the fridge, open a bottle, have a glass,
Yeah.
and you don't have to think about it. It's that, oh, this is fun, yeah, easy drinking, the kind of wine you go, what happened to that bottle? Sort of
wine made for drinking.
the wine, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, certainly in our home it is. The fridge is well stocked.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to talk about the reds, and in the same way that Ken did something different with the Chenin Blanc in South Africa and kind of thinking outside the box and going against the grain, he's done the same thing with some of his reds, and we're going to try the Renegade, which is, so what's the blend? It's a Rhone style blend, which isn't something you really associate with South Africa, but what was your kind of thinking behind that decision?
You know, interestingly, I went with Chenin Blanc because the climate made such perfect sense. That combination of cool sunshine, and then going, you know, and I love that cool sunshine. It's an oxymoron.
Okay,
It's like military intelligence.
Yeah,
Could you use that all in the same?
But it kind of makes sense.
Joke.
Yeah.
But seriously, the climate makes sense. South Africa, where we are down in the Cape, surrounded by ocean, peculiarly, we have a Mediterranean climate. And if you have a look, we grow olives, garlic, rosemary, tomatoes. It's a completely Mediterranean type climate.
Yeah.
You look at the trees, there's stone pines and there's cypress trees, graveyard cypresses. You see all these, it's Tuscan, southern France, Mediterranean. And if you think of the grapes that work in that environment, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre,
Yeah.
Viognier, Marsanne, Roussanne, all of those things. And we're seeing in the last 10 years, I think, more and more South African producers starting to get involved with these grapes.
Yeah.
And we started in 96. We found a really old Grenache vineyard that was hugely exciting. I had a very old Shiraz vineyard, and I wanted to put this together, and what we ended up with was this blend of Grenache and Syrah. I think it's just the most deliciously meaty, but you see, you can tell from the color in this wine, it's not black, it's about red fruit. We're looking here at red currants, we're looking at raspberries, we're looking at pomegranate,
Yeah.
red fruit ferments,
Yeah.
which is so interesting.
So, this isn't really, I mean, obviously it's wine itself, it's a South African Rhone blend. So if you could explain what you get from the aromatic profile and then
I think
on the palate.
those red fruits, Doblet, I think there's an earthiness on
Yeah.
the wine. There's a wonderful earthiness on the wine. The French talk about garrigue.
Yeah.
And in our environment, we have what we call fynbos.
Okay.
And you'd be familiar with red bush tea, rooibos tea.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that's one of the fynbos species,
Okay.
and there are literally thousands.
Really?
Thousands. You've seen that iconic picture of Table Mountain.
Yeah.
We have more plant species on Table Mountain, sorry, this is one-upmanship, than you have in the whole United Kingdom.
Okay, well, give you that
On
one.
one mountain, we have more plant species. The diversity of that is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. So that fynbos, which we call, gives you this kind of earthy, there's a tea-like character.
Yeah, I do get rooibos.
There is a tea-like
Yeah.
character to the wine. It's the most delicious wine. It's got a wonderful acidity. If you were doing some lamb chops, if you were
Yeah.
grilling some lamb chops, or if you had a neck of lamb, a roast neck of lamb, with that little bit of fat on it, or
Yeah.
shoulder of lamb, you'd want some of this
Definitely.
to kind of cut through that and just focus the meal. Soft, fine tannins, lovely fruit running right through the wine. Absolutely, mentally, in a Rhone style, but the fruit intensity. It's Rhone in a very good year.
Yeah.
You've got sunshine, as I said earlier with the Chenin Blanc. Sunshine for us is a given. It's an absolute, that's in the box.
Yeah.
So here the sunshine's playing an important role in providing us with that richness of fruit. And for us, the balance here is to keep the wine quite restrained.
Okay.
Quite
yeah.
restrained.
No, it's definitely full. I mean, it's very vibrant wine, isn't it? But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's definitely kind of got all of the components of something quite structured and quite kind of, yeah, it's definitely.
And drinking beautifully now. And this is the 2007 vintage.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. At about
Okay.
5-6 years old, this is when you want to be drinking.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
What about the FMC? Actually, I should have asked about the drinking window.
we've done a vertical tasting with FMC just recently. The 2009 vintage was our 10th vintage. This is our 11th vintage. So, 10 vintages of FMC in a vertical tasting. And the 2001, 2003, 2004 absolutely shone.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
best wines. There's actually a website, What I Drank Last Night. So
Oh yeah. Okay. I know
go,
that, yeah.
go and have a look at What I Drank Last Night,
Yeah.
and you'll see there's a whole story of the 10 tastings, the 10 vintages.
Cool.
Yeah, so FMC, I would suspect, is going to go 15 years.
Wow.
Dare
okay.
I say more? But 15 years, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty insane in a way, because obviously South Africa has never been connected with ageable Chenin Blanc. So you've just completely shown them.
Well, I think if you look at Chenin Blanc in the Loire Valley, I've had Chenin Blanc going back to 1947,
Yeah.
recently,
Really.
in great condition.
Wow.
Super wine.
Yeah. Okay. So now on to the final wine,
The Gypsy.
So why is it called the Gypsy?
Dare I say, the Gypsy is that somewhat dark, somewhat brooding, somewhat mysterious, that character that might be more trouble than it could be, but it could be worthwhile.
Okay.
No, seriously, the vineyards, when you look at Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, in the field, they are the most shabby, unkempt. They like chill, they hang out all over the place.
Yeah.
You look at Cabernet, it's all perfect.
Square.
Perfect, straight. It's almost, straight up and down. You get into a Grenache vineyard and it's like hanging out there. If you think of the south of France, if you think of the language in the south of France compared to the north of France, in Paris,
Languedoc.
oui is a complete, almost a oui.
Yeah.
Whereas you get down to the south of France and you ask the same question, the answer is yes, somebody's going to go, and it's about that character. It's about the sunshine, it's about the ocean, it's about water and breezes and boats and mañana. It's and so Gypsy kind of fulfills all of that for me.
So it's kind of a bad wine, like a bit of cheeky.
And you've got here a little more depth of color. Look at this beautiful ruby in that wine. Absolutely garnet ruby. Look at the shining through here.
Yeah.
Just delightful. And the intensity of fruit on the nose of this wine, for me, is always amazing.
It's got a very, the second time you smell it, there's something like much more secondary, really secondary characteristics coming through, kind of like wet earth is very kind of like.
There's that, for me, there's red currants, really intense, almost those kind of fruit gums, that
Yeah.
intensity of fruit. And then, as you say, there is an earthiness, but I love the way the tannins are held together on this. This wine is so silky for me.
Yeah.
Really mouth-filling, silky, and then dry tannins that, you know, here you're looking at, you could do some pheasant, some
Yeah.
game, you know, something like that with it would be just ideal. Frankly.
It's quite
A nice cold night at the fireplace.
sure. But it's actually quite refreshing, isn't it? It's got kind of, it tastes very elegant, and as you said, because it's so smooth and the tannins are just, you know, gliding through your mouth, you kind of feel like you could drink the whole thing just really easy.
It's just, and it's the kind of wine that honestly needs to be decanted.
Yeah, okay.
You know, this is the kind of wine you get to the last sip, the last glass, and you go,
Should have left it
wish
out.
I'd waited.
Whoever does it, no, you should.
I wish we'd waited. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, cheers. It's
Thanks so
lovely to
much.
meet you. Thank you.